welcome to lesson 98. This lesson is on negative numbers. Many of you have already heard of negative numbers before. We do hear them in real life in regards to temperature. And we will also learn in this lesson that you may also hear negative dollars when it comes to money as well. So there's two real life situations in which you need to know negative numbers. Now we do know that positive numbers are all numbers that are greater than 0. So anything to the right, usually whenever you have a timeline or a number line, usually to the right your numbers get larger. So to the right of the 0 is where your positive numbers are going to be. And then to the left of your 0 is where your negative numbers are going to be. Now, what I want you to notice on the number line, because I know this is actually a very common mistake that I tend to see amongst 5th graders, is right after 0 to the very first number to the left is going to be -1. So we always start -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and it continues on and on the same pattern. It's basically the exact opposite as your positive number. So right after 0, you're going to have -1. So if you're looking for -7, don't start -10, 9, 8, 7. That would be counting incorrectly. You always start -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. So negative numbers are, of course, numbers that are less than 0. So whenever you have something below 0 on a thermometer, that means you have a negative degree, such as, let's say, a -2 degree temperature. So -2 would be below 0. When you have a dollar amount, if you have less than $0, that means you're in debt to somebody. So if I have $0 and I lend one of you $10, I have now -$10 because I owe somebody $10 and I don't have any money right now. So I owe somebody money, you're in debt in a certain amount, that means you have a negative amount of money. That is possible, and that's usually whenever, at least in real life, whenever you have credit debt. So if you have a debt with your credit card, then you have a negative amount of money. Example 1 says point B represents which number? So when we have this number line, and I hope it's easy enough for you all to see, we have 0 right here. So realize after 0, our first number, this is going to be -1, -2, -3, -4, -5 is right here. So I want you to go ahead and put down where point B is. And that is, of course, point B. I will label that. So point B represents which number? If I have -5 right here, I'm going to count -6, -7. So point B represents -7. So again, from 0, I'm not going to count 10, 9, 8, 7, or 5, 6, 7. I'm not counting -7 to right here. I'm counting to my left. So -7 is in between -10 and -5. I keep repeating that because I know it's a very common mistake, so I want you to be sure not to make that same mistake. We're skipping example 2, and example 3 says to use a negative number to indicate $200 in debt. Now, like I told you before, if you have debt, that means you have a negative amount of money. So if I'm $200 in debt, I want you to write what it would look like written out and labeled. And you should have put -$200. That's exactly how you do it. So you have your negative sign, which is basically a minus sign. So because it is money that has been taken away, negative sign, $200. So practice set, I want you to do A and C. We will do B together in class. A says to draw a number line and put a dot at -4. I want you to label the numbers also. That's very important. Label the numbers. Don't just draw a number and a number line and put a dot at a random place. I want you to label the numbers. And then letter C says use digits and symbols to indicate 12 degrees below 0 on the Fahrenheit scale. So that means you're going to write out whatever 12 degrees below 0 is going to be. I want you to write out what that would look like. Just like I did here with my money, I used a negative number to indicate $200 in debt. That's -$200. So very similar to what C is going to be to writing what 12 degrees below zero on the Fahrenheit scale, so it tells you how to label it correctly. We'll look over these answers together in class. We'll also go over example 2 and practice set B, as well as the other ones that we did not get to, and I'll be checking your notes for participation. Thank you very much.